At 24, he became the very first staff artist at Nintendo. Here he began the journey that would help create a whole new world of entertainment and build a flourishing industry that would rival the annual sales of the feature film business. His work with his team at Nintendo has resulted in more than 60 game masterpieces that have sold over 250 million game cartridges to passionate players around the world. It was in video game arcades that the first memorable characters came to life. In 1983, Nintendo introduced the Famicom in Japan, which soon became known as the Nintendo Entertainment System throughout the world. This benchmark system brought the video game experience and Mario into millions of homes everywhere. With the Zelda series, players were introduced to an enormous world of adventure that provided hours of involving play. In 1991, Nintendo introduced the Super Famicom and Super NES, and Shigeru Miyamoto acquired a new set of tools. His unforgettable characters now moved with the power of 16 bits. The next evolution of Zelda immersed players even deeper into the classic legend. Super Mario Kart combined Miyamoto's beloved characters with a finesse and interactivity and two-player action not yet seen in racing games. The Star Fox game brought to life wonderful new characters in a polygon-based 3D world that used the Super FX chip to push the limits of 16-bit. In 1996, Nintendo shook the video game world with the breakthrough N64. Miyamoto's creativity now had free rein, and an exhilarating new era in interactive entertainment was born. N64's flagship game has been called his masterpiece.
It's me, Mario!
With N64, the Star Fox characters were given voices and a cinematic real-time 3D environment.
Everybody stay alert!
(1998). Once again, Shigeru Miyamoto leads the way, redefining what a video game can be. Shigeru Miyamoto, creator, teacher, visionary, leader. He rides his bicycle to work and plays bluegrass banjo. He's as original and inventive as the games he creates. His work with Nintendo will continue to blaze the trail in interactive entertainment. Together they will inspire and delight, and keep the child within all of us alive.
People always ask, what is next from Miyamoto? And to help answer that question, here is one of his newest personas, bound to compete with the likes and looks of Lara Croft. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce to you the first inductee to the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming all the way from Japan, Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto. It's going to be great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sit down, please. Thank you. I'm very honored. Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you very much for your warm welcome. I'm very happy to be here. The video game industry has been through many crises, has continued on as a strong and growing business. Thanks to that, I'm still making games, and I get to speak to you about them today. I owe a lot to a number of people who have been involved in this business, and also to the newcomer in this industry who have been grown up playing Nintendo games and continue to buy them today. Making use of this opportunity, I'd like to speak about my own experience in the past 20 years. If what I tell you today can help games to consistently be fun to play, it would make me happy. In fact, I like making games so much that I would like do it for free. But don't tell Mr. Yamauchi that. And now, I hope you will do me a big favor and allow me to speak in Japanese. My friend, thank you. My friend Bill Torinen will translate for me. Bill. Thank you.
さて今日皆さんにお話しする内容は大きく3つの話題です。
Today there are three main subjects that I'd like to speak to you about.
で一つはゲームデザインのずっと歴史を振り返ってみて私の考えるゲームデザイナーというもののあり方。
First, I'd like to take a look back at the history of game design and tell you about my ideas about what a game designer should be.
そして次にはゼルダを作った時の制作の考え方。
Second, I'd like to talk about some of the concepts behind the development of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
そして最後がこれからの僕のゲーム作りの姿勢というものについてです。
And finally, I'd like to share with you my ideas about the future of game design.
私が初めてゲームの監督をしたドンキーコングの当時までゲームはずっとプログラムの技術者やハードの技術者が主導権を持って作っていました。
Until the time of Donkey Kong, which was the first game that I directed, programmers and engineers were responsible for game design.
時には、いや、ほとんどの場合、音楽も絵もその人たちによって書かれていたわけです。 れはもう本当にひどいもんでしたよね。
Those were the days when these engineers were even composing the music and drawing the pictures themselves. They were terrible, weren't they?
僕がドンキーコングのデザインをしたときに、僕は世界で5本指に入るアーティストだって言っていました。
When I, as an artist, first became involved in game design, I boasted to myself that I was one of the 5 best designers in the world.
というのもゲームの業界にはほとんどアーティストはいなかったわけです。
The reason for this is that there were very few artists involved in game design at that time.
それでこのドンキーコングなどのゲームによってすごく新しい傾向が生まれました。
With games like Donkey Kong, we saw the birth of a new trend in game design.
ゲームにはストーリーがあって、でゲームデザイナーは絵とお話を書く人だという流行が出てきたわけです。
For the first time, we saw stories accompanying the games, and writing the stories and drawing the pictures became the work of game designers.
そしてこの時代がずっと10年近く続きました。
This trend continued for about 10 years.
そしてその間にアーティストやそれから音楽家なんだがどんどんこの業界に参入してきたわけです。
We saw many artists entering the industry as game designers, and we also saw not a few music composers joining us as well.
で次に特に日本ではドラゴンウォーリアーズやそれからゼルダの伝説のヒットによってシナリオライターがゲームを作るという時代が始まりました。
Then, due particularly to the success of Dragon Warrior and the Legend of Zelda in Japan, there emerged a new trend in which scenario writers took a leading role in game design.
でこの頃から私のところにはどんどんこんな分厚いシナリオを持った人たちが来たり、それから有名な小説家とミュージシャンを組み合わせてお金を儲けようという人がいっぱい現れました。
It was at this time that I was inundated with designers to be, bringing me their really thick scenarios, hoping to get a game whipped out. We also saw a number of famous authors working together with music composers, hoping to get a game out just for the sake of business.
じゃあもう一度時間を過去に戻してみましょ
う。Let us look back once again.
もう一つの変化としては、ゲームの遊びの種類が変わってきたわけです。
In the days since I have joined the industry, we have seen a qualitative change in the nature of gameplay.
アーケードゲームを作っていた時のゲーム作りの目的というのは、お店でいかにお金を儲けるか、お店がいかにお金を儲けるかということでした。
With arcade games, our objective was to see how many quarters we could get the users to drop into a machine at the arcade.
でそういう中で僕はドンキーコングからずっとシリーズを作っていくうちに、ちょっとそれと相反する問題のゲームが現れてきたわけです。
It was with this objective in mind that I created the Donkey Kong series. And yet at the same time, we saw a new style of game emerge that contradicted this model.
そして一つはベースボールゲームのように9イニングを遊ぶ。で9イニング1イニングにつき、25セントのコインを払う。でこれは遊ぶ側にするとすごく高い遊びになってしまいます。けど1イニングを25セントで遊ばれちゃうとお店の方は全然ゆっくり遊ばれると売り上げが伸びないという問題が起こってきました。
One example is a baseball game in which you must play 9 full innings in order to complete a game. But at 1 quarter an inning, it's too expensive. Whereas from the view of the arcade operator, players can play 1 inning much longer on the same quarter than they could on, say, another game like Mario Brothers.